to respect each other this day in all our consultations, that our deliberations today shall take place in the spirit of mutual trust, so that we as leaders shall lead our country on the path of peace and shall find solutions for issues and problems facing us. Grant us the mercy, O Lord, that we shall today also honor thy name in all we think, do, and say. Almighty God, we pray thee, bless our land and all its people. This all we pray in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Affirmation. I solemnly affirm that I will be faithful to the Republic of Namibia and its people, and I solemnly promise to uphold and defend the Constitution and laws of the Republic of Namibia to the best of my ability. Announcements. I don't see anyone up there in the gallery. Yeah. So there were supposed to be guests that would be in our gallery here that I'm supposed to announce, but anyway, maybe they are still to arrive, that there would be members from the Namibia Mental Health Organization who will be in our public gallery there, who have come to listen to the debate on the mental health bill that was tabled yesterday. They will be welcome when they arrive. Yes, thank you. Are there any messages from the head of state? Any petitions? Reports of standing or select committees? Other reports and papers? Notices of questions? Honorable Nashinge? Okay. Honorable Muton?
I hereby give notice that on Thursday, 16 October, I shall ask the Minister of ICT the following. Why does NDC use two types of payment structures for their employees? Basic plus and total cost to company. What policy provides for this kind of pay structure division? Is it true that this structure is used to buy loyalty and give favors to some employees to ensure that a certain political party is prioritized in its broadcasting? How is it possible that certain individuals who are on the same pay bracket will earn more in car allowances and other benefits? I have two pay slips here, presenting two different compensations despite being in the exact same bracket. Is the minister aware of this clear discrepancy? And if so, has the minister seen and investigated the payroll of NDC?
Thank you. Can the honorable member please table the questions? Honorable Hishono?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, 23rd of October, I, the Deputy Shadow Minister of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport, Art and Culture, rises to address the issue affecting quality work deliverance at junior primary phase in our schools. Honorable Speaker, recently the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport, Art and Culture has introduced Jolly Phonics and the PE for Life to the already burdened teachers. Although the subjects are really necessary in the child's learning and did not change the number of lessons per week, they have increased the workload of teachers in planning, delivering, marking of books, giving feedback, filing, and assessing. Honorable Speaker, these poor teachers out there, my colleagues, who happen to have more than 40 learners in class, they will buckle under pressure from their daily work. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask the Honorable Minister the following. Just two questions. When will the ministry review and perhaps do away with some other of those nitty-gritty informal assessment forms where they have to tick and tick for competencies reached to reduce the workload. And will the minister, in the cases of overcrowded classes, consider employing support teachers to ease the workload and at the same time reduce the number of qualified unemployed teachers in the streets? Honorable Speaker, I strongly believe with those considerations, teachers in junior primary school will deliver to the best of their abilities. I so submit.
Honorable member may please table the questions. I recognize Honorable Amtenya.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to give notice that on Thursday, 23rd October 2025, I shall ask the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Elia Chitunga Ngurare, the following questions. Honorable Prime Minister, Public Service is currently implementing Circular 21-1P, dated 26 November 2001, on the application of the Affirmative Action Act 1998, Act 29 of 1998, during the recruitment process within the public service. This circular was issued by the Public Service Commission as a mechanism to ensure a more balanced structure in the public service, particularly with regards to gender representation. The circular stipulates, among other provisions, that in cases where the highest score during the interview for an advertised position is a male, but the second or a third highest score is a female who is deemed suitable, the nomination of the male candidate must be accompanied by statistics reflecting the gender structure of the relevant division or directorate. Where the statistics and the affirmative action plan indicates that there are fewer women in the similar position, the female candidate who is the second or third highest score must be considered for nomination instead of a high score male candidate. Honorable Speaker, the 2023 Namibian Population and Housing Census labor force statistics reveals that out of 68,541 employed professionals in Namibia, 40,136 are female and only 28,405 are male. Furthermore, among us 28,482 clerk supporting workers, only 9,328 are male. These figures reflect a growing imbalance, and there is a growing concern that the continued application of this circular without appropriate review or coordination might disadvantage a qualified male candidate. This situation has led to instances where highly scored male candidates are sidelined, resulting in psychological distress among young men and contributing to stagnation in their career progression due to what is perceived as unfair implementation of the circular. Therefore, Honorable Prime Minister, my two questions are, does the government have an effective monitoring and evaluation tool in place to ensure the fair and balanced implementation of this circular? Given the evidence that gender shifts in the labor force, when will this application be reviewed or adjusted to address the growing disadvantage faced by a boy child and ensure fairness in recruitment and promotion processes within the public service? I therefore submit.
The member may please table the questions. Honorable Brinkman. Honorable Brinkman.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I hereby give notice that on Thursday, 23rd October 2025, I shall ask the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Services, Honorable Lubindao, the following. Honorable Speaker, I rise to seek clarity from the Honorable Minister of Health regarding 3 urgent matters affecting the welfare and future of medical professionals in Namibia. Firstly, despite a favorable arbitration ruling on the payment of overtime for medical interns, the ministry has yet to implement the decision or communicate any progress to the affected parties. Secondly, there is a growing crisis of unemployed dentists who studied in Cuba through government scholarships under contracts that guaranteed their absorption into the public health system upon return. Despite these binding agreements, many remain at home. Can the Honorable Minister clarify why the ministry has not implemented the arbitration ruling on the payment of overtime for these medical interns? When can the affected interns expect to receive their overdue payments? What plans does the ministry have to absorb or deploy these dentists into the public health system as it was agreed? And what long-term strategies are in place to ensure proper workforce planning and utilization of medical professionals? Lastly, Honorable Speaker, while we have a challenge with both medical and dental interns not getting employment, the Ministry of Health awarded 52 undergraduate scholarships to students pursuing health professional as part of the Project 2025 to address a shortage of skilled healthcare workers while they are there. Can the Honorable Minister clarify why have payments for these scholarships not been made and what has caused this delay? What immediate measures will the ministry take to rectify this error and ensure that all affected students receive their funding without further delay? What accountability mechanisms are in place to prevent such administrative failures in future scholarship programs? So I submit.
Honorable Mwashindange.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the floor. I rise as Shadow Minister of Finance, and because of the urgency in the matter, this is supposed to be an oral urgent question, but the Minister is not here. I will therefore put it in writing, but it's very serious and urgent. I beg your indulgence, Speaker. I rise
so
to...
that is now, you are now notifying the question.
Yes, because the Minister is not here. Honorable Speaker, I give notice that on Thursday, the 16th of October, which is tomorrow, 2025, I shall ask the Minister of Finance the following questions. Honorable Minister, many pensioners across the country have expressed growing frustration with the persistent delays and disruptions in receiving their monthly pensions, payments through NAMPOS outlets. In several regions, pensioners reportedly have to wait for extended periods, sometimes in harsh weather conditions, and in some cases are required to make repeated trips due to logistical and system failures at certain pay points. Many of our elders have not received their grants for 2 months now, and they do not have money to travel to NAMPOS offices, which are very far from them. Some of our elders borrowed transport money and traveled long distances, some more than 100 kilometers, and they are still waiting at places like Kongola, Kurenkuru, Katima Muriro, Rundu, Onipa, Hibion, and many other places in the country, where they stayed up to 3 days now. sleeping in open spaces, exposed to mosquitoes and even snakes. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, 2 elderly people fainted at Kongola as a result of them waiting for their money since Monday. Many of these elderlies are taking chronic medication, such as diabetes and high blood pressure, who as a consequence need regular and special feedings. These are the same elders, Honorable Speaker, that were promised an increase to 3,000 Namibian dollars that was never given. We asked these questions before in this August House. We raised red flags on the readiness of NAMPOST on the pension distribution. It appears we were right, Honorable Speaker, given that these delays have direct and adverse impact on the welfare and dignity of our elderly citizens and vulnerables who rely heavily on these grants for their daily subsistence. I therefore want to pose the following questions. 1, can the Honorable Minister explain the main causes of the continued delays in the rollout and distribution of pension payments at NAMPOST branches across the country? Number 2, what specific measures has the ministry undertaken in collaboration with NAMPOST and other stakeholders to ensure timely and efficient payment of pensions going forward? Number 3, is there a clear timeline by which the ministry expects these challenges to be fully resolved, particularly in rural areas? 4, and the second last, what is the ministry doing now to help all these elderly today to restore their dignity and make sure that they go back home? 5, and the last one, what contingency plans are there in place to safeguard pensioners from similar disruptions in the future? I so submit.
Before you table the questions, I would just like to indicate that it is not the intention under the rules for urgent oral question that a member can deliberately know of a situation and keep planning to raise the question as an urgent oral question, and then in the end notify the question and try to justify an answer over a shorter period than what is required under the rules. So what Honorable Mashindange did is not in line with the rules. But the Honorable Member may table the question. No, the rule is saying all the questions must be put on notice, and the only time that we ask an urgent oral question, if it is of an urgent nature, as will be determined. Wait, no, don't argue, please, when the ruling is made. I was listening to you when you were. The rule is saying when the presiding officer is ruling, there will be silence in the House. I listened to you when you are posing your questions. Mara, you interrupt me when I'm making rulings. So all questions are to be notified. And then the only time that a question may not be notified, it is when it is of an urgent nature, not when it relates to an important issue. It's assumed that all the questions that we pose in this House are on important issues. Now you will have to justify why it is urgent. And what you said, it justified that it's not urgent. Because you say you have been having this question and you were only intending to put it as an urgent oral question, and every time because the minister, no, you can't do that. You can't call a point of order when the presiding officer is making a ruling. No, when a ruling is made, there is no debate about it. So the Honorable Member will table the question, and I would make a ruling on whether that question would be admitted for tomorrow or for next week, Thursday. But the Honorable Member can table the question. Honorable Likando, there is no need to crack the whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I hereby give notice that on Thursday, the 23rd of October 2025, I shall ask the Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Tourism the following questions.
She's not here.
Honorable Speaker, the Environmental Management Act 2007 provides the legal framework for environmental governance in Namibia, including environmental impact assessment and environmental clearance certificates. However, the Act does not regulate environmental assessment practitioners. There is currently no system for registration, accreditation, or licensing of practitioners which has led to inconsistencies in the quality of assessments, accountability gaps, and risk conflicts of interest. This gap undermines public confidence in environmental governance and weakens the effectiveness of EIAs in protecting Namibia's ecosystems. Considering this, I ask the Honorable Minister the following questions. Given that the Environmental Management Act does not provide for the registration or licensing of environmental assessment practitioners, what steps is the ministry taking to ensure that all environmental assessment practitioners conducting environmental impact assessments are professionally qualified? Honorable Minister, without a regulatory framework, the quality of environmental impact assessment varies widely. How does the ministry ensure that all environmental impact assessments that are submitted for environmental clearance certificates meet the required scientific and legal standards? In cases where an environmental assessment practitioner produces a standard or misleading assessment that results in environmental harm, what mechanisms exist to hold the practitioner accountable under current legislation? Many environmental assessment practitioners are hired and paid by the project developers. What measures is the ministry implementing to mitigate conflicts of interest and ensure that environmental impact assessments remain objective and impartial? Honorable Minister, considering the Environmental Management Act, why has the ministry failed to establish a regulated framework for environmental assessment, ensuring transparency, fairness, and accountability in the fees charged by environmental practitioners? Honorable Speaker, I so submit.
We don't know.
Member may please take on the questions. Yes. Honorable Karonda?
Agent oral.
Agent Oral.
Yes.
Honorable Kambala? Honorable Nekongo?
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to see if I can ask an urgent oral question to the Prime Minister.
Okay, let me first proceed then to see whether there are written notices before I come to those with oral agent questions. Honorable Venani?
Oral.
Honorable Thomas? Oh, honorable members. Okay, now we start with Honorable Karonda with the agent oral question. Secretariat, I hope we have that list. Eh?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to quickly take on the Minister of Health on the question of medical interns. We raised that question 6 months ago. You gave us a response and an undertaking that you would deal with the issue of the medical interns as it relates to the arbitration award that was given in their favor. It appears that complaint still stands. So were we misinformed, or what is keeping you away from finalizing that? The second question goes to the Minister of Lands. The community at GAM.
The rules are very clear. One question once, and we have 20 minutes to answer all the questions.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you very
please.
much, Honorable Speaker. Minister of Lands, the GAM community, when they came, when our people were repatriated from Botswana, when we went to welcome them in September of last year, promises were made that they will be resettled, and that conditions under which they would be living would be somewhat dignified. We are told and we have seen that the situation remains the same. They still live in some temporary piece of land somewhere in Gam. What is the status of the ministry's work towards this community? Where do we stand, and what does the ministry plan to do? Can I?
Thank you. Thank you. Now I will take all the questions. Honorable Kambala.
Mine is to the Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Prime Minister, we have an issue on high unemployment in the country. And as we have seen that the past 2 years, we have phased out the grade 12 certificate, where a learner leaves school with an AS or grade 11 or sometimes a grade 10. But the employment criteria still requests a grade 12 certificate. So I'm not sure now with the imbalances thereof why it exists. Because now you leave school at grade 10, but then for you to get employment, you need a grade 12 certificate. That is now both in private and public service as well. So I was hoping maybe the Prime Minister could maybe just share why that anomaly exists and what's the way forward, knowing that our leaders no longer have attained a grade 12 certificate.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Honorable members, the questions must be short and to the point. In that question, Honorable Kambala does not qualify for an agent oral question, because this is something, the introduction of that qualification took place many years ago. So this is not something that we just became aware of yesterday. Just please put the question in writing and notice, and then it will be answered. Honorable Venani.
Speaker, I rise to crave your indulgence under Rule 135 to ask an urgent oral question, to rise on a minor point of privilege, to remind this House that the towering giant of Kenya, a Pan-Africanist in the name of Raila Odinga, has passed on. And I would plead to you, Madam Speaker, to find time for us to observe a minute of silence to a friend of Namibia and an indefatigable leader of our continent. That's one. Two, Honorable Speaker, I'm seeing a tendency of members of Parliament coming with shirts, especially male, that are not African, that are just ordinary shirts, and many of us have many shirts, and if that is the norm, we can also do that. Honorable April is a very respected reverend of the church, and he knows that I do not enter the church with a shirt. I want the Speaker to tell him that it is the last time that he can walk into the house as if he's in his office.
Honorable member. Okay, can you summarize, please? You have made your point. Now, the point of privilege, first, this is not agent oral question, it's a point of privilege.
Yeah, now we are coming to the oral question.
No.
Yes.
Okay, half a minute. Go straight to the oral question, please.
Very urgent. Right, Honorable Prime Minister. You want to amend a very important legislation of public enterprises. Listen, yesterday, there were interviews at Agribank interviewing a would-be CEO of that institution. But the company that was hired to supervise the process was not involved, nor invited at the interview. Why is your government, why is Agribank holding interviews in secret? Why is there no provision for check and balances? And why are the interviews being conducted under secrecy at that institution?
Honorable member, that question should be asked in writing to the minister responsible for Agribank. Now, on the issue, I have ruled, now on the issue of the passing of the former Prime Minister, we will take time to observe a minute of silence, maybe when we go for the break. The second one, I think that's a general issue that we have been dealing with in this House. I think what I need to say is that the Chief Whip, in terms of the rules here, that they oblige the Chief Whip to assist the presiding officer in ensuring compliance with the rules of the House, must ensure that the dressing code is observed. But it's not just the Reverend. There I have seen people that are dressed in a worse way than he is. No, that is true. That is true. Let the Chief Whips, maybe we should call for the Chief Whips to meet, and that should be one of the issues that they should discuss. The ruling is given in that regard. Honorable Nashinge.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The whip is very serious today. Keep it up, but just balance. Honorable Speaker, I have an urgent question to the Prime Minister of the Republic, Right Honorable Prime Minister, aka Tatikuru Chitunga. Honorable Prime Minister, the community in Oshukoto region, especially in the Engodi constituency, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 villages are dying from thirst. Some areas like Okashana, Kelago, Ondobeudia, and many others, for 7 months, they don't have water. Nkumbula, all these villages, 2 months, 1 month, 7 months. Early in the year, the Minister of Finance told us that you went to borrow 1.5 billion, and that money is to make sure that the people of Oshkoto, to be specific, and Zambezi region have water. What is the way forward, Prime Minister, that our people are going through the hardest, especially that region, as vast as it is, as far as it is from many access to services? Because from there to Omuthia, I can't even finish counting the kilometers. What is the plan? Are you aware that they are going through this situation? What is the urgent solution to their problem? Old people, school-going children, they were recalled. They were told to go home because the schools where they are staying in the hostel, there is no water. I look forward to the response, Honorable Right Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. Good afternoon. I just have a short question to the Minister of Health. Honorable respected Minister, I salute you, but there are some disturbing news in the clinic in the remote area, Kurenkure, Omboloka, Onangolo, Okankolo, Wakana. People there, when they came there for treatment, they are told there is no medicine, come tomorrow. And this is a very disturbing issue. If maybe Honorable Minister not aware, we now maybe employ the Minister to conduct those clinics. There is nothing, only Panado. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nekongo is the last.
I want to ask the urgent oral question to the Prime Minister. Comrade Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, I want to ask a question on the pension distribution that has been now handed over to a new sheriff. Before we are fed with lies from other people, I want you to shed light, perhaps, on what is the way forward, the issues that we are seeing unfolding. What is the...
Honorable members, please. Honorable members. us and Honorable Nekongo, please let's use the language that is parliamentary, just so that we don't also generate this kind of reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Comrade Prime Minister, maybe I refrain from the lies, but maybe misinformation from other people. Comrade Prime Minister, please shed light on what is happening there and what is to happen so that there is clear information. Thank you very much, Comrade.
Yes. Is that not the question of Honorable Mashindange? Yes, Honorable Member, that question is put on notice and we are to rule whether it will be answered on tomorrow or the next week. Okay, now we have only 9 minutes to answer the questions. The first one was by Honorable Karonda to the Minister of Agriculture. Was it Agriculture or Health? Health. The Health Minister has the floor.
Is it Agriculture? Yes, you.
Okay, go ahead, Minister of Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Member, for the question. I don't know if Honourable Speaker will allow me to answer both at the same time. One at a time. All right. So thank you, Honourable Member, for the question.
Yeah, no, you can answer both of them.
Thank you. So regarding the intern issue, the feedback that we gave still stands. There is a process involved in ensuring that we can carry out what was ordered. So to my surprise also that it's being raised again, as I mentioned when I answered the question the first time, that due diligence is now being followed with conversation with the Office of the Prime Minister as well as NPC, and a ministerial statement is coming within the next few weeks to brief the House as well as the rest of the Namibian public. With regards to the second question on the drug issue, I did address this matter when I gave a ministerial statement to say that within these few weeks, the ministry is currently stabilizing stock due to a system imbalance that was created previously. What that means is stock starts to arrive from the first week of October. Stock is continuously arriving, including this week. To stabilize stock in the meantime, we have given the regions funding to be able to access medications from local suppliers. We have noted, as of last week, that despite the fact that a lot of facilities have managed to stabilize stock levels, there are a few clinics and facilities that have not managed to access those medications due to availability locally. And what we have then done is we have engaged a supplier that is able to supply X stock, which means stock immediately, and that process has commenced as of Monday this week, and stock will be delivered within the next few weeks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then the Minister of Agriculture, to Honorable Karonda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Karonda, for the question. The issue of our citizens who return from Botswana is a very serious situation at GAM Reception Center, as it is. I have been in communication with the governor of Chadonjipa region to find a suitable date for us to meet and go to GAM and hear from the people themselves what the issues are. There are so many complexities in that matter, involving all kinds of people. My technical people have been going to the site almost once a month to engage with the affected communities, but we are aware that the situation is becoming very critical and explosive. We are seeing what we are seeing on the social media, and we have a plan, and we will address it, and the House will be duly informed. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one was a question by Honorable Nashinge to the PM.
I'm listening. So you didn't listen. Comrade Speaker, I was giving you Prime Minister. Yeah, the question you have asked, Honorable Leader of the official opposition, is a very important question. Water is life. We have received report from the governor of Oshkoto. We have also received report from the governor of Umsati pertaining to water challenges. Yes, in Ngodi, Okankolo, Omtele, Nahali Mpingana, and some other parts of Hangwena. Yesterday, there was also, of course, a report on the town council of Rundu. pertaining to water disruptions. And because of the fire that you know that took place in Etosha, it has also affected part of Oshana as well as the Shikoto. I think the feedback I'd like to give is that tomorrow the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform, there is a meeting 10 o'clock precisely to address the situation that you have alluded to, together with the Office of the Prime Minister, and to be able to, one, look at the solutions that we must provide on the immediate, medium term and long term. And I must then convey to the communities of the affected areas our sincere apologies for the inconvenience, but we are on it, hands on deck, to ensure that we can be able to provide water through emergency service deliveries by way of tankers. That is our normal emergency responses to situations like that. Then medium term is to drill boreholes, and what we understand, especially in Ngodi, the governor is saying there are boreholes that have already been drilled. What we need to do is just to fit them, in other words, to install them. So that would then, of course, work on us having to contract contractors, as it were, that can be able to install. There are a number of them that we have received. So, Honorable Member, we will give you feedback. I think the line minister will do so as soon as that meeting is complete, but we'll also convey to the governor after that meeting and then get the process going. So that will be what I can answer. Comrade, maybe if I may just add and say, the other decision we have taken is that especially the areas of Mtambo Mawe, the areas of Onkanka, the areas of Amarika, close to Okuma and so forth, we are also going to rehabilitate some of the boreholes in Etosha, and where necessary we'll also drill some of the boreholes there so that we can be able to provide immediate relief to the farmers around those areas. I so submit, Comrade Speaker.
Thank you, Right Honourable. Now, notices of motions. Honourable Member. Yeah, okay. 1 minute. 1 minute, yes, please.
We are here to work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister, for your honest response. Really appreciate it, even though it can't provide an immediate solution right now. But I just wanted to find out, being familiar with the area, this problem has been ongoing for so many years, 20, 25, 26. With the money that we are getting, are there perhaps plans for the government to construct at least a reservoir somewhere, especially in Oshikoto, so that, because in most cases it's the pressure of the water, because this is the water coming from the canal Kunene, at least to have a reservoir in that region so that the pressure is also improved, because even during the rain, when it's not hot, the pressure of the water is almost not existing, so that we can have better support to the boreholes that you are going to drill. Perhaps
Honourable Member, the time is up now. Honourable Members, now the time for urgent oral question is over. And that is why it is important that important issues are queried through written questions that are notified. This is a topical issue, and I want to really encourage the Honourable Leader of Official Opposition to just pose that question in writing, so that there is a comprehensive answer, because now this deals with issues of emergency and water supply, which is also in another ministry. So please, let's agree to proceed for today to the next item, which is the notices of motion. Any notice of motion? Ministerial statements? Notices of motions. Honorable Lukato.
Honorable Speaker,
members of parliament, and the leaders of various political parties. A good day, and thank you for the platform. I hereby give notice that on Thursday, 23 October 2025, I will be moving the motion in this House to discuss the following. Honorable Speaker, the August House should take stronger legal steps to stop and fight road accidents involving heavy-duty trucks in Namibia. In order to stop it, that they must immediately, if it's 6 o'clock, they have to stop, and then they'll carry the following day at 5 o'clock in the morning. I so submit, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member may table the motion, please. Okay. Ministerial statements.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Comrade Speaker. Honorable members, I am pleased to, through this August House, inform the public on the transformation program of NATES services. As of September 2025, our countrywide vehicle population stands at 419,716, while our driver population has reached 379,023. Further, approximately 140,000 NATES transactions are conducted monthly, countrywide, generating a revenue of plus minus 87 million. The above stated facts are transacted through the pain of long queues, long waiting periods of standing in those queues, avoidable traveling costs, frustrations, means of corruptions taking place, scammers trading at the premises, as well as real or perceived purposeful acts to fail our clients. Therefore, the Ministry of Works and Transport and its agency NATES is undertaking a transformational process to address and mitigate on the prior outlined pains to receive the NATES services. The immediate transformational programs underway are Book and Pay module, the computerized learner license testing, e-driver's licenses, and the automated driving testing system. In addition, cognizance of the higher population of Windhoek and the demand for NATES services thereto, the Windhoek NATES services are at the most congested. In addition, we are alive to the downtrodden population, particularly in the areas of Havana, Hakahana, Koreahap, and many others around those areas. As such, the Ministry of Works and Transport, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, my dear elder sister, acquired the land in Vanaenda in the close proximity of Hakahana, Koreahap, and Havana to develop the new NATES service center for our people. Honorable members, the designs are done, and very soon the appropriate machineries will be on site. Honorable members, the Book and Pay module, the upgrade and modernization to Book and Pay module will enable our clients to book and pay from the comfort of their houses, utilizing digital technologies. This upgrade will assist with the elimination of the unnecessary long queues and the costs associated with the physical walk-ins. However, we are cognizant that some members of our communities might still prefer the current practice. Therefore, the walk-in services will still be available to such customers. Everything being equal, we expect the pilot phase of this upgrade to commence December this year. The computerized learner license testing. At present, customers physically write the theoretical test with a manual supplied by NATES for the learner license test. This current practice is associated again with the purposeful failure of our customers, associated again with corruption. Therefore, we have embarked on the computerized learner license testing, which will enable our customers to undertake a computerized test which only takes plus minus 30 minutes to complete, and subsequently eliminate the human marking and distribution of question papers which are again associated with corruption. The test will be automatically evaluated and the result instantly available by a click of a button by the person writing the test. The pilot phase is to start with Okahanja NATES Center and via the NATES mobile testing track by December this year. Automated driving testing system. The upgrade to the automated driving testing system will aim to migrate from the current manual to the automated testing system. The gist is that sensors and the cameras, sensors and satellites will be installed in the testing vehicles as well as around the testing yard. In order to ease the burden of the upgrade to our customers, NATES, we are exploring avenues to have customers utilize NATES fitted vehicles for the testing and evaluation of our customers instead of the current practice of customers utilizing their own vehicles. We anticipate that this pilot phase will commence during the next financial year. The e-driver's license. The NATES, we are busy migrating from the current hard-liked ID-sized licenses, which are prone to be forgotten, to, in our various cars, wallet we forget at our neighbors, the different handbag you were carrying, and many others. This forgetting of these licenses subjects our drivers or our clients to unnecessary fines, leading to magistrates being also congested as well as corruption. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are therefore moving to ensure that we are moving to have the e-driver's license that you can carry on gadgets which you can retrieve and utilize at any moment. Therefore, there is no room to forget it at home or anywhere else. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, for your listening. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Now, Honorable Members, it is break time. We will break and then we come back and ask follow-up questions. But before we do that, we will observe a moment of silence in honor of former Prime Minister of Kenya. May his soul rest in peace. Now we break until 16 hours. Now they were, okay, we have 2 more ministerial statements, I'm told. Let's hear the ministerial statements. The honorable member must hold their questions. So the next ministerial statement, Honorable Musavi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to make a brief statement on issues related to international peace and security. Honorable Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, Madagascar. Over the past few weeks, Madagascar has experienced escalating civil unrest, demanding reliable access to basic services, particularly electricity and potable water. The government of President Andry Rajoelina has responded with a number of measures, dissolving the government of Prime Minister Christian Sai, appointing a new Prime Minister. On October 11, 2025, elements of the Madagascar Armed Forces, specifically the elite, the Security and Administration Company Kapsat Military Unit, announced that they would refuse orders to use force against protesters. On 13th of October, citing concern for his personal safety, President Rajoelina left Madagascar. Subsequently, he declared the situation to be an attempted illegal seizure of power and issued a decree to dissolve parliament, which the lawmakers ignored. Yesterday, 14th of October, Madagascar National Assembly voted to impeach President Rajoelina on grounds of desertion of duty. Shortly after that, military authorities announced that they had formally seized power and suspended most governmental institutions, with the exception of the lower house of parliament. The military has installed new leadership in the form of a council and appears to be in effective control of the country. The council will appoint a civilian prime minister as per the announcement. SADC response on Monday, 13 October, His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, President of the Republic of Malawi and Chairperson of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation, issued a statement by indicating that SADC is following with grave concern the recent political and security developments in Madagascar. The chair of the organ also reiterated that as part of the efforts aimed at facilitating an early return to order in Madagascar and ending the crisis in that country, the SADC organ stands ready to work in close collaboration with national authorities and regional partners to facilitate dialogue and support efforts aimed at restoring institutional normalcy and national cohesion. In this regard, the SADC organ will deploy a mission of SADC panel of elders to Madagascar on a fact-finding mission and to facilitate a conducive environment for dialogue to take root. The SADC remains and encourages all stakeholders to be steadfast in its shared commitment to the principles of unity, solidarity, democracy, and the rule of law, principles that are essential for the peace, stability, and prosperity of our region. On Monday, 13 October, the African Union Peace and Security Council convened an emergency session to discuss the deteriorating situation in Madagascar, where they reiterated the AU's zero tolerance of unconstitutional changes of government, in line with Article 4P of the AU Constitutive Act. The Peace and Security Council also expressed deep concern over the unfolding developments, and the Peace and Security Council stressed that they totally reject any attempt at unconstitutional change of government. Honorable Speaker, the government of the Republic of Namibia affirms that Namibia remains firmly committed to constitutional governance and the rule of law. We do not support unconstitutional change of government, regardless of the circumstances. We call upon all actors in Madagascar to prioritize dialogue. Implications for Namibia is that the situation in Madagascar is of importance to us as we are a member of SADC. Our security is interconnected, and therefore we have an obligation under regional protocols to address peace and security. Our foreign policy and international relations stand firm on respect for democracy, sovereignty, and good governance. I also wish to inform the House that there are no Namibian nationals in Madagascar. Honorable Speaker, the situation is fluid and unpredictable. We will continue to monitor the developments, and as developments unfold, we will keep the House informed. On Palestine, lastly, Honorable Speaker, I wish to echo the sentiments expressed by Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia, that Namibia's history is one of profound suffering shaped by inhumanity of apartheid and colonialism, among others. Today, the people of Palestine, especially in Gaza, continue to endure catastrophic conditions, deprived of food, water, shelter, and medical care. While we note with cautious optimism recent diplomatic developments, we believe that now is the time for the international community to renew commitment to a just and lasting peace. Our hope is that these developments are the beginning of establishing a lasting peace in Palestine and creating a two-state solution of Israel and Palestine existing side by side, as so eloquently indicated in the various UN Security Council resolutions. I thank you, sir.
Comrade Speaker, I rise to provide some update on the old age pension.
Very good, yes. Yes.
Are the old age people
Do
here
the
in the
honourable
House?
members not wish to have a clarification on this? Huh?
Thank you very much.
Right? Okay, point of order. Honourable Prime Minister, there is a point of order.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister's venture. But I think the rules of the House are very clear, that a member cannot preempt a matter that is on the order paper. The Honourable Mwashi Dangi have asked an oral question, or he submitted a question. So he is on record on the order paper, and he deserves to get an answer. The Prime Minister cannot preempt that situation and start giving explanation unless if there is a crisis. So there is already the member has already given a notice, and the notice should be answered, and that's the rule of the House.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, honourable members, can I make a ruling? Okay, no, I'll make a ruling. No, I will make a ruling. Who said there should be a discussion? There was a point of order. So the presiding officer would decide whether she will hear further comments on the point of order, and she has determined to make a ruling. And the ruling is to say, the presiding officer, when the honourable member gave an indication there, decided that the honourable member must table the notice of a question, and a ruling will be made whether that question will be admitted as an urgent question to be answered tomorrow, because there is an average period that must be allowed. And here there was a matter of providing information to the extent that the members are happy to wait for the information when it comes from the Minister of Finance. I don't think that there is anything to quarrel about. So I think we should speak in turns that are assigned by the presiding officer. We cannot every time just speak 10 of us at the same time, because there is a consent. So, Right Honourable Prime Minister, the members would wait for the answer that will be provided by the Minister of Finance. The presiding officer will determine when that answer is going to be provided. So you didn't have to jeer together. One person raising a point of order was enough. Yeah. Now, Honourable, now we are going now to the questions on the statements. No, it is preemptive. Can I explain what I said? Yeah, okay, you can. Because I don't want us to discuss the issue there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I take
What
note.
is the point that the member is raising?
Yeah, no. Point of privilege, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah.
And I thought we have been following, you have given opportunities for honorable members to provide ministerial statements. And the Prime Minister also took the floor to provide the same statement. And why should he be deprived that opportunity?
No. Okay, honorable members, what I have ruled is to say there is in these rule books a rule that says it is not allowed to anticipate a matter that is on the agenda. So if there is a question put that is to be answered, one cannot make a ministerial statement on a question that is put already. Yeah, there is no harm, but a ruling is made in that regard. The rules is saying we cannot debate the ruling of a presiding officer. That matter is concluded, honorable members. Now we are going to proceed. We are going to proceed to ask questions on the ministerial statements. Now the first the first one was Honorable Venani.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for that leadership. I want to ask question number 1 very briefly to the Minister of Transport, Chief Nekundi. Honorable Nekundi, with the latest reforms, are you aware that farmers are being mistreated by the apartheid regime that is in your ministry, where transport companies, if your truck is...
Which apartheid regime is that one?
I'm talking about his statement. The apartheid is just a word of discrimination, not the political apartheid that was in the country.
Let's use the parliamentary ones.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Speaker, Honorable Nekundi, there is this anomaly where each and every individual who owns a truck with a weight more than 4 tons or 5 tons, you would be asked to pay 36,000 every year for license renewal. But some of these trucks belongs to subsistence farmers that only uses a truck from a village to bring it into town and go back your cattle or whatever stock. And then you have transport, Sneyman Transport or whatever transport companies that are paying the same amount, overusing the roads, and these two owners are paying the same amount. How are you going to come to the rescue of farmers that are having trucks that are using them only nominally for them transporting their goods to the markets and back, rather than having the same amount of money being paid by transport companies? That's question 1 to transport. Madam Minister of International Relations, Trade and all those important matters. Yes. Madam Minister, you on Madagascar. Her Excellency President of Namibia has just returned from Madagascar, attending a summit of Madagascar. The rules of SADC is very clear, that if there is a military coup, there must be suspension. Why is SADC not taking a decision on suspending Madagascar as a member? Now you are relegating the question of Madagascar, a soft coup in Madagascar, to the SADC Troika on defense and security. I would have thought you would be able to brief us that who is the acting chair of SADC now, and when will Madagascar be suspended? Because the ordinary thing that must happen in foreign affairs, if a country does not conform to the tenets of democracy and the rule of law, as per the rules of SADC, that country must be suspended. Now the correct word is, we are dilly-dallying with the situation as if we are trying to resolve, while we know we will have to suspend Madagascar.
It should be a question, Honorable.
That's a question. It's a question.
Yeah. No,
question mark also. Must I say question mark? Question mark. Honorable Speaker, lastly, on the question of Palestine, I support the Namibian position, but when are we as a country respected globally going to invite Palestine to open an embassy in Namibia? When are we leading? Why are we not leading?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Member. Time is up for your questions. Honorable Kandorodu.
Thank you so much. The only one goes to Honorable Minister of Works and Transport, Honorable Nekundi. The construction of the new NATES Center in Havana. Yeah, in whatever the place in Windhoek, or Hakahana, Havana, wherever, Vanahenda. Is this a political campaign statement, or is it the reality? Because last year during the same period, there was a groundbreaking ceremony to construct a hospital in that area. Now, again, is an election year, you are coming with a native center in the same area. Do you have already an ERV, or are you going to use the underutilized ERV that was meant for hospital? On a lighter note, I applaud your decision to give a leeway for congestion at native center. But I fail to understand the Namibian. Why do we like to make everything Windhoek based? We don't have a native center where we test vehicles, license in Okakarara, in Kwahonas, in Okalongo. There is nothing there. In Windhoek, there is already even one here in Tal Street and another one there. So, are you promoting urbanization, or what are you doing? Why are you not decentralizing these services? Now you have places like Epokiro or Shombinde, wherever all these small settlements proclaimed. Why don't you also, in your program, to have even one Wednesday or Thursday, your official drive there to have a test for the people to go for a testing. In terms of vehicle test, the clearance certificates for the vehicles, changing of ownership. Why is it done at particular police stations? Why not at all the police stations countrywide, so that we can keep people where they are and have access to it? So,
Thank you, Honorable Member.
She don't want me to ask questions
Yeah.
to her. So basically, those are the questions pertaining your concept to ease the burden on
Thank you,
latest
Honorable
value
Member.
program.
Thank you. Honorable Members, the questions must be to the point and brief. You don't have to use up all the time for the questions. Yeah, Honorable Mvula, followed by Honorable Karonda, and then Honorable Nashinge. We will end up only with ministerial statements and answers.
All right, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, well done to keep up with the times in terms of technology. I have a question, and that's a question related to the importance and manipulation of data. Now, I would like to know whether your reform of this traffic information system is actually linked to the other desks that are under your ministry, which is the Roads Authority, which obviously manages Natistan, but then the Road Administration Fund, because once in a way that the number of the vehicles that we have in the country needs to actually inform, including local authorities as well as regional councils, because they submit proposals for infrastructure development to Roads Authority. Need to inform them how many vehicles we have on our roads, so that they can make better decisions when it comes to decongesting some of the roads. Especially,
No, the question is, does NATES provide that information to Roads Authority as well as the Road Administration Fund? Which actually, no, it's a relevant question because during, especially now, going into the festive season, we have roads that are actually congested. And do you as a minister have an idea how many vehicles we have in here? Because, for example, in 2013 or in 2023, the number of imported vehicles into Namibia, their information is only the value of 114 million US dollars, but then there's no quantification of the vehicles that are running on our roads. Thus, sometimes you actually have roads. Come again? So that's your information system.
To the point and brief.
That's your information system. I mean, is it? Does your information system provide triangulated data so that will enable improvement and development of roads infrastructure in the country?
Thank you.
So that's basically what it is.
Thank
if
you.
it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Karonda.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Minister of International Relations. While we agree with the government's stance on Palestine, we are aware that the International Court of Justice has ruled that the crimes committed against the Palestinians are crimes against humanity and that it is genocide. We are also aware that at the UN, our government voted against bringing the same issue of genocide onto the agenda of the UN General Assembly in 2017, inasmuch as we are aware that when it came time to vote on the issue in 2021, our government abstained. Would you please explain the hypocrisy?
Yes, Honorable Nashinge.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mine goes to the Honorable Minister of International Relations, just to get an understanding why, in agreement with the stance of our state, how do we plan to, moving into the future, to address the issues of contradictions and when we are faced by situations like this. Madagascar, the ousted president took over through a coup. We condemned, I believe then, I was still a bit young, and then we said, you are one of us. Now we are condemning this one, and next week, when all is done, we are friends. At our level as a state and SADC, what are the plans for us to manage these things and we don't just make our commitment to sound like just rhetoric, but truly meaning it in terms of for us to be able to maintain and protect the very democracy that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I give the floor to the ministers to respond, starting with the Minister of Works and Transport.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me start with a question by Honorable Mvula. I possibly understood what you want to ask. NATES is one of the state agencies whose data are available by a click of a button. See, when you look at your car have N for Namibia, the number itself, and the letter, last letter. That letter is assigned to which that car is registered. If you are from Enana, it would be EN. Now, therefore, the population of Enana is exactly known how many cars are registered under Enana and who the owners are. So that goes to any other localities on which these vehicles are registered. And therefore, they are then added together to give a population of cars registered in Namibia. It's in that regard that when I issue the statement today, I have given this Parliament the total number of cars registered on the NATES system. The only cars that might not be known are the cars that you might not have registered with NATES. Those will not know. And it's exactly on that premise that NATES which falls under Road Authority. Road Authority falls under the Ministry of Works and Transport. RFA falls under the Ministry of Finance. Now, on a regular basis, as you pay your fees at NATES and like also at service stations, X percentage of funds that you pay at NATES is channeled to RFA. RFA then, depending on the number of vehicles registered under that local authority, gives that money to that local authority. For example, this financial year, Rundu was given around 9 million from Road Fund Administration, which then is a part of the NATES fees collected and other fees collected. And that money is aimed to maintain those road infrastructures in those towns or localities. So therefore the statistics are known and they speak to each other. Then the issue of Honorable Venani. Yes, thank you very much, my younger brother, for this question. Yes, I think it's good that we engage. And I'm a person who is open for suggestions. Under the current administration, how it works, any vehicle that is above 3,500, that means 3,501, you must, that means your gross motor vehicle, mass vehicle, it's above that size. You must then be registered and you must have what we call, you must have a book that you pay on a regular basis depending on the number of kilometers you have traveled with that vehicle. And the rates are determined by the size of your vehicle. If your vehicle is 7,000, you will pay lesser than somebody who is 15. So therefore it depends. Now, the challenge one will have, now that vehicle is registered, and not the challenge first. Now, what is the confusion is, if you have that car, that vehicle that you keep on the farm, when you are coming to pay and there is let's assume on the previous kilometer you were at 15,000. You come at this 15,000 or 15,020. You will not pay for that because that means you have not been using it. No, you pay the annual license renewal, but not the utilization. Remember the utilization is you pay for the kilometer you traveled to use this car. Now if your vehicle, you have only used it for 1 kilometer, you will not be able to pay because there is then a rate that you pay for that vehicle on the kilometer you have traveled. So, and the challenge normally we have is you now have these vehicles on your farm. The last book you brought in, you recorded 15,000 kilometers. You bring it in 35,000 kilometers. You must then, what evidence will then be able to tell the road authority that you will not be using this car on the road, on the public road? So possibly let us engage and see if there is a mechanism that we can see that the kilometers we have traveled of 20,000, it was not on the public road. If we can find that mechanism, we can talk. But we are open for engagement. Understand? But we are open for engagement. I just explained to you the current scenario. But there's a difference between the utilization on the road, the per kilometer utilizations, and then normal motor vehicle license renewal. Now, Honorable Kandoro, hey, my sister Lucia Imumbu is not here today. See, I must tell you with absolute confidence that in SWAPO we don't propaganda. With confidence.
Summary.
What we say is what we do. Whether it is January or in June or in December, we deliver it. We deliver it. Just that we had made sure that Honorable Karonda will become an MP. He is here today. So he is here. So therefore we don't do that.
Honorable Member, Honorable Kandorodu is the one who started with the politics, and Honorable Nekundi is continuing with the politics. So can the Honorable Members please get to the point of the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we are in the house of politics. If you bring politics, I'm entitled. So the fact is, the NATES, the elections are on the 26th of November. I was appointed on the 22nd of March. In April, I went on a surprise visit to the NATES office. It was very horrific. I may already, in that time, already make a pronouncement that no, we must have a new NATES in Windhoek. And it must be in the area where our downtrodden are living. Subsequent to that, I engaged with Honorable Minister. Official documents are there. There is a land that was earmarked and is still earmarked for agricultural development, products development in Van Aenda, near Kayak. The hospital is in Havana. This one is in Van Aenda, two different locations. I know you don't know the way people live. So the land is big, it's around over 11 hectares. They then give to us to use for NATES services to bring this service to our people for around 5 hectares. 5 hectares. So this land is now there. The demarcation is now done and everything. The drawings are done, so we just to check it. So that I just want to assure you that that is the situation. Then the services. The NATES centers are not just in Windhoek. NATES centers, we have them across the country. We have them across the country, including in Okakarara. There is Okakarara, there is a NATES office in Okakarara. There is in each town that have a NATES number or a vehicle. Hold on, I was not engaging you.
Yeah, honorable members, allow the minister to answer because time is up.
I'm giving you the indulgence. For your information, I'm giving you the facts that in each of these towns there are. The issue is there are classes of NATES services, NATES centers. There are categorized, just like the Okakarara cannot be compared to Chuarongo. There are also classes. The way these are classified, NATES are also classified. There are scientific reasons behind that. We cannot put up, for example, a track testing center in Washitutuma where there is maybe only one track. Now you spend 400 million to put up an infrastructure for one track. But this track can go to Otapi within a range of 45 kilometers. So it's prudence management. And as I thought you as opposition, my brother, is to hold us accountable against our prudence management ethics. And then we must do that. So, and in addition to that, in my statement I also alluded to that even in the smallest, we have the mobile testing trucks that goes out to the smallest villages. And we are also driving out, even where there is no NATES services, there's no vehicles registered under that area. We are also moving forward that we are going to provide mobile vehicle testing and NATES services to all our towns and our residents as long as you are in Namibia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I now give the floor to the Minister of International Relations and Trade to respond to the questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And let me thank the Honorable Venani for the questions and always taking an interest in international relations. On Madagascar, we are not dilly-dally. That's the rule that the organ always takes. First, you have to send a fact-finding, and then after that, the two troikas will meet and then determine the course going forward. Of course, at the moment, we have a vacuum because Madagascar is the chair, was the chair, but now the chair is always deputized. That's why the ongoing consultations are among the deputy chair, who is South Africa, Malawi, who is the chairperson of the organ, and Eswatini, who is the deputy chair. So when the fact-finding comes back, what I suspect is the two troikas will meet, and maybe we will have an emergency session of the organ. So there is really no dilly-dallying, and that's why we're very clear that we do not support the unconstitutional change of government. On Palestine, Honorable Venani, I think you need to applaud. Yes, you have said you support the position of government, but I think you need to applaud us also. Since independence, Namibia has been a member of the UN Committee on Solidarity with Palestine. when we became a member of the UN Security Council, after a long pause of the issue of Palestine not having been addressed in the Security Council, we took the political courage against all kinds of pressure, and we called for an open meeting on Palestine. That meeting went over 2 days, and we were really applauded because there was a lot of pressure for us not to call that meeting. Palestine has a non-resident embassy in Namibia. It is their choice. So if and when they decide to open a resident embassy in Namibia, we'll give them all our support, and they know that. And we have continued to support Palestine in so many ways. We have never been left wanting on Palestine, a position that they really appreciate. The meeting I was referring to in the Security Council that Namibia organized, that was the last meeting that Yasser Arafat participated in at the UN. Thank you very much. Honorable Karonda. Dangi, I think, are you not maybe confusing the resolution on genocide with the one on right to protection? I think it's the right to protection you are talking about. Please. Yes, the right to protection, we have a fundamental problem. Because we believe, as much as human rights need to be protected, it's a one-sided resolution. Because we don't believe that a small developing country can invade a big country because we think our brothers and sisters are being suppressed. That is really the contention. And that's why RTP, as we call it in multilateralism, it's a concept that has not yet been agreed to. So if we have abstained, that would be the purpose, but not on genocide. But let me go back and get the number of the resolution, read the resolution, because now I'm just using my experience in UN politics, but I think that's the one we are referring to. Yeah, so which means our abstention was on the RTP, the right to protect. And we have a fundamental problem with the right to protect because it's one-sided. Honorable Nashinge, there are no contradictions in our foreign policy. I think my question and my answer to Honorable Venani respond to your question. In fact, when Madagascar was going through a very difficult situation, Namibia was chair of the organ. We used our own resources to bring all the leaders of Madagascar here. They came so many times. The last meeting we attended was in Kahudi, where former President Pohamba invited at our own cost. And when we went to the SADC summit, the Madagascar government actually recognized Namibia's contribution to stabilizing the situation and will continue to stabilize peace and security in the SADC region. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, having said that, done that, I think we proceed to any reports from the Committee of the Whole Assembly in consequential proceedings. And then we proceed to the orders of the day. The first notice of a motion is the one of the Honorable Minister of International Relations and Trade. Does the Honorable Minister move the motion? Who seconds the motion? Any objection? Agreed to. The Honorable Minister has the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, I move on the draft protocol on the SADC Parliament submitted in accordance with Standing Rule 10.21. With regard to the purpose of the protocol, the 42nd Ordinary Session of the SADC Heads of State and Government held in Kinshasa adopted an agreement amending the SADC Treaty to transform the SADC Parliament Forum into a SADC Parliament and legally establishing it as SADC institutions under Article 9.1 of the SADC Treaty. The agreement entered into force in July 2024, following signatures by 12 member states, including Namibia. Pursuant to the entry into force of the agreement, the SADC Secretariat, in consultation with the SADC Parliamentary Forum, developed a draft protocol on the SADC Parliament, which seeks to establish the SADC Parliament as a formal institution of the Southern African Development Community SADC, pursuant to Article 9 and 16A of the SADC Treaty. The draft protocol further aims to promoting democratic governance, deepening regional integration, advancing human rights and gender equality, and strengthening parliamentary oversight within the SADC region. The draft protocol on the SADC Parliament has been circulated to all SADC member states for comments and inputs before it's tabled before the Council of Ministers and subsequently SADC Summit for adoption. In terms of background, the draft protocol builds on the work of the existing SADC Parliamentary Forum, transforming it into a regional parliament with consultative and deliberative powers, while highlighting the significance of the SADC Parliament in advancing regional integration. Therefore, it's imperative for Namibia, as host of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, to scrutinize the draft protocol and provide substantive inputs that would shape the functioning operationalization of the SADC institutions. The obligation of member states, the draft protocol provides for each member parliament to designate 6 representatives to the SADC Parliament and support its participation in the formulation of regional model laws and policy harmonization. The protocol is non-binding at the deliberative stage, but will require ratification by member states once adopted. This is an urgent matter. During the last session of SADC, the decision that was taken states that Council urged member states that have not signed the agreement amending the SADC Treaty to recognize the SADC Parliament as one of the SADC institutions to do so. 2, those member states that have not submitted comments to the Secretariat on the draft protocol on the SADC Parliament to do so by 30 October 2025. The SADC Secretariat has therefore requested, following that decision, all member states to submit national comments on the draft protocol by 31st of October 2025 to allow finalization before the next SADC Summit. The National Assembly is therefore required to consider the draft protocol and provide its comments to the Ministry of International Relations and Trade by that date for submission to the SADC Secretariat. In terms of procedural context, in terms of Standing Rules 210 to 212, international agreements and protocols must be tabled by the responsible minister with an explanatory memorandum and referred to the relevant standing committee for examination and report. It is therefore recommended that the National Assembly receives and notes the draft protocol on the SADC Parliament. 2, refer it to the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders, internal arrangements for consideration and reports in accordance with Standing Rule 211 and 212. And C, directs that the committee submit its report to the National Assembly not later than 28th of October 2025 to enable the Assembly to revert to the Ministry of International Relations and Trade on or before 31st October 2025. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I now put the question. Now, I now put the question that the draft protocol on SADC Parliament be referred to the Committee on Standing Rules and Order for consideration and report back. Are there any objections? Then it's agreed to. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Second reading, Mental Health Bill.
When the Assembly adjourned on Tuesday, the 7th of October, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Minister of Urban, by the Minister of Health and Social Services, that the bill be read a second time. The Honorable Minister of Works and Transport had the floor, and he is not here. Yeah, so any further discussions? Yes, Honorable Mongo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Oh, okay.
Allow me to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Services for tabling this long overdue and transformative mental health bill before Parliament. This bill stands as one of the most significant pieces of social legislation of our nation currently needs. Many colleagues before me have rightfully spoken to its importance and urgency, and I wish to join those voices, including that of our President, Honorable Venani, in commending the Ministry for the seriousness and dedication with which it has pursued this matter. Honorable members, I also wish to acknowledge with deep personal satisfaction the journey that has led us to this moment. During the 7th Parliament, I tabled a motion highlighting the deplorable state of our mental health institutions and the urgent need for reform. In this 8th Parliament, I continue to raise follow-up questions to ensure that the mental health bill did not remain a distant promise but became a national priority. Today, as we debate this bill, I am encouraged to see those efforts bearing fruit. Honorable Speaker, my contribution today is therefore supportive in spirit and constructive in substance, focusing on proposals and suggestions to strengthen the bill so that it truly serves every Namibian. Now allow me to deal with how we can strengthen this important bill through concrete proposals and suggestions. In my considered view, I hereby propose and suggest as follows. The integration of mental health care into primary health care under Section 6, 7, and 28 of this bill. While the bill provides for the establishment of mental health units, it does not yet speak strongly to the integration within primary health care. Most Namibians first interact with nurses, community health workers, or clinics, and not with psychiatrists, psychologists, or social workers. I therefore propose that the Ministry develop a framework to ensure that every primary health care facility includes basic mental health screening, counseling, and referral services in line with Section 6, 7, and 28. Allow me to focus on the funding implementation and measurability under Section 2, 4, 70, 80, and 81 of this bill. Without a dedicated measurable implementation plan, even the best drafted law risks remaining aspirational. I therefore suggest that within 6 months after this bill becomes law, the Ministry must publish a national mental health implementation plan, including ring-fence budgets for mental health services, disaggregated targets for community centers, specialists, and beds, annual public reports to Parliament for accountability. This will give practical effects to Section 2, 4, 70, 80, and 81. Honorable members, I now move to workforce development and retention under Section 6, 15, 29 and 26 of this bill, Namibia faces a shortage of mental health professionals. A strong law must therefore include a workforce development strategy focusing on psychiatric nurses, psychologists, social workers, and counselors. I propose scholarships and retention incentives like danger allowance. Furthermore, allow me to speak on strengthening community and family-based care under Section 7, 28, 37, and 54 of this bill. Institutional care is important, but family and communities remain the first line of support. I therefore recommend developing standards for community-based care linked to licensing, which falls under Section 28, inspections and referral pathways. Section 7 emphasizes accessibility, which can only be achieved if families are engaged as partners in care. I would now like to focus on data protection and confidentiality, which falls under Section 15 of this bill. Confidentiality is central to trust in mental health services. The bill should explicitly restrict disclosure of patient information, except under lawful grounds, guaranteed patient access to their own records, and impose penalties for breaches. Section 15 provides a framework for this, but explicit clarity is needed for enforcement of data protection and confidentiality to ensure public confidence. Moreover, allow me to focus on public awareness, social determinants, and statistics, which falls under Section 7, 28, 37, and 54. Mental health is shaped by social, economic, and environmental factors. The bill should encourage interministerial collaboration with health, labor, education, and social welfare to address root causes. Public awareness campaigns are essential to end stigma and promote community awareness. Section 7 and 28 support accessibility and quality standards, which this bill can reinforce. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, it is with heartfelt conviction that I urge all honorable members of this House to support this important bill, together with the proposed amendments, so that it can genuinely benefit our people. I further emphasize the need for urgent implementation. This is a bill we truly need to see in practice, not merely on paper. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, this bill presents a historic opportunity to transform how Namibia addresses mental health, restore dignity, protect individual liberty, and support families, and bring hope to all Namibians who are currently suffering in silence. I firmly believe that if we legislate with compassion and commitment, we can make real and lasting differences in the lives of all Namibians. I so submit.
Thank you. Honorable Shifeta.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, let me thank the Minister for tabling this very important bill, which is the provision or objective of providing for care and also social support to the mental health persons. This bill has an essential element that we need to support, especially that Namibia has experienced so many loss of lives to suicides cases that we've experienced. I think 2023, 2024 statistics was very, very high. And also 2024, 2025, where we have more than 542, about 542 suicide cases. That tells us a lot. And the shocking news is that I have read the report which was published by the New Era newspaper last year. Oh no, it was this year. And in that report, I thought I could not understand among those people committed suicide, the youngest one, it's 5 years old. I was very shocked, and I was asking myself, how did this 5-year-old commit suicide? I thought maybe in the New Era report, the report was not accurate. But they said it was from the police report that a 5-year-old committed suicide. Well, I thought maybe he was watching movies or what. How did he commit suicide at that age? But also, another shocking news is that in that report, the oldest is 103 men committed suicide. 103-year-old. That tells you something that we need to do in order to prevent further loss of lives due to suicide. There are factors when it comes to mental health issues, and there are different factors. Why so many suicides? Why so many people that have mental health issues? In the report of the Ministry of Health and Social Services last year, I think they reported about 100,000 mental health cases, which is a lot compared to our population. But this is now a tip of the iceberg, because we're only talking about those cases that were discovered or people who openly came forward. But let alone those that just suffer in silence, especially men. Men, they don't open up. A man is hard to open up because sometimes a man fear that if you open up that you have issues, you have a problem, family problem, people will tend to laugh at you. Even some men, when they go to police and report cases of abuse, people start ridiculing you, and therefore they just suffer in silence. And what next is to commit suicide. And we have experienced some of these things. I once was called upon 5 years ago. He's an older man, 70 years old, was telling me about his health, and his health is not that he's sick, but he's not well mentally because of being treated badly by his mother-in-law. And he could not really illustrate further, but he said, I'm fed up with my mother-in-law because all the time she interfered in my marriage. And to the extent that the wife even decided not to visit the mother anymore because of this interference. But afterward, I did not really measure to what extent these men suffer from this. Only after a few months, he committed suicide and he left the notes there. So these are really things that we need to do, especially community social support in communities. Because sometimes we think people tend to abusing alcohol because of their will, at their will. It's not all the time the case. We don't really find out what caused this person to start abusing alcohol. And when people start abusing alcohol, next is to abuse drugs. And then drugs, of course, you know that the effects of that can be very, very severe. That's why you have people killing their close family members. Hardly a week can pass without hearing a person killed a child, his or her child, or a grandmother or a mother. In most cases, these are really mental health issues that eventually develop into mental illness. And sometimes, because if they are not handled on time, and the progression eventually becomes severe, that a person can not handle anymore, and the condition, the judgment becomes a very problematic, and anything you can do, anything. Because most of them, they abuse drugs. Today, drugs are available everywhere in Namibia. And they are even abused by children, school-going kids. It's a higher time that we really look at even this. We think that this hubbly-bubbly is an innocent something. We need to ban that. This parliament needs to pass a law to ban that hubbly-bubbly. Because what they do is even to put ingredients there, of drugs ingredients. And when you go around, you find this, even at parties, you find these young ones busy with hubbly-bubbly. I think we need to ban that. So we do not even tolerate this. Now, even school kids, after break, they go somewhere and use this hubbly-bubbly. It has become a fashion, and we are tolerating this nonsense. So, and the kids from there, they get addicted and they will use drugs. And most of these people use drugs eventually. They end up either committing suicide or they just become useless elements in society. Because they cannot even manage their own finances. Every penny he or she receives, he puts that in drugs. So as a nation, we need to handle this, especially the issue of suicide. And you look at that thing, if you look at the statistics, more than 85% of people committing suicide are men. The victims, more than 85% are men. And now that tells us something that we really have to do something in order to attend to these mental health issues among our men folks. Some of us, we think it is just a simple thing. Men must handle those pains. Scientifically, a man cannot handle a pain like a woman. Scientifically, a woman can handle a pain. It's proven scientifically. A man can handle only half of the pain a woman can handle. That's why men commit suicide. It's even a simple thing. I was very surprised and shocked when these men who complained several times that his mother-in-law is interfering, and I thought that it's just something that can be handled in the family. But eventually he committed suicide. There are also men, we see in our vicinities, some of them after retirement or loss of income, they feel being rejected. Because most of these factors are rejection, stress, anxiety, lack of support, and sometimes they become, a man is alone in the family, isolated there. One man was even telling me one time that even the wife told, after he lost the job, he was working in CDF, and he educated the wife, sent the wife to school, sent the kids to school. After that, this man, you see him after that, he was the only clothes he had is a overall of CDM, written CDM. Now, he was telling us very moving story. He was telling us, we were three of us. how his wife started convincing his own children that your father is not even part of you. Therefore, you should not even look at your father. After he sent them to school, including the wife, sent them to school, now this man also eventually committed suicide. He committed suicide. So we need to really to look at these cases, not in isolation, but they are related to some other things, some other factors that in our society. It's a drug abuse and also rejection. Men, some of them feel they are being rejected after they lost income, they've lost now job or something, or retirement, they have no money anymore, and they are finished, and they feel they have no use to live. And these are things that I think, looking at this bill, some of these cases will be handled in this way. So I really want to emphasize the issue of strictly to even maybe amend the law, because we have amended the law here to make more strict and even to make more custodial sentence on the drug dealers in Namibia. But it does not really, it looks like it does not really help. In Namibia, we know cases where houses are known. Even before in the 80s, we knew houses that we know this house sells drugs. Even up to today, those houses are there. They are still dealing with drugs, but they are there. And you find the youngsters, many young people in those houses. And these young people are consuming these drugs. So we really need to do something, maybe to strengthen this law in order to people to be given more custodial sentence than what is happening today. So, therefore, with these few remarks, I support this bill wholeheartedly, and I yield my time back to you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, you don't have to use up all your time. You can be brief, so that's just the maximum. That's just the maximum, but we can cover more if you can be brief and to the point. I'm not only talking about Honorable Shifeta, is a principle. Honorable Amtenya.
But, yeah, Honorable Speaker, yeah, no, I'm entitled to my 15 minutes, Honorable Speaker, and I would want to make use of them on this very important bill. But I want to say at this beginning, Honorable Speaker, really this Parliament should treat the mental health bill as a matter of utmost urgency, that its swift passage and implementation must not just be legislative formalities, but really a critical lifeline for a mental well-being of our citizens. Therefore, I want to urge that every delay in enacting this bill means continued suffering for individuals and families who urgently need access to comprehensive mental health care and support. Therefore, at this beginning, Honorable Speaker, I want to iron out one or two issues that are quite stronger, that came out stronger on this bill, which is the protection of mental health patients from discrimination. Because really this bill protects mental health patients from exploitation or abuse, as it's covered in Section 12. However, the protection of mental health patients must not end upon their discharge from hospitals. The right to human treatment environment must extend into community where too many mental patients still face mockery, they face stigma, and are even used as objects of entertainment until social media. We have seen how mental health patients are being, used as entertainments on social media. Therefore, such acts are not only degrading, but they are also violating basic human rights of our people. So by strengthening this bill, we affirm that mental health patients deserve dignity, deserve privacy, and safety wherever they are. So this bill also, another thing that I at most to consider or to take note, is that this bill also closes the systemic exclusion, especially of medical aid beneficiaries in private health facilities. So the medical aid rules, the current rule, exclude therapy for mental conditions. This exclusion not only discriminates against patients in crisis, but it undermines the integrity of our entire healthcare system. But in this bill, Section 11, subsection 4, clearly prohibits the exclusion of mental health patients from the coverage of the Medical AIDS Fund. It's something that we should acknowledge. However, Honorable Speaker, I therefore call for private hospitals in this country to prioritize mental health services, including dedicated mental health wards and support facilities in their private hospitals. This measure will significantly reduce overcrowding in public institutions, improve response capacity, and ensure that individuals in need receive timely, dignified, and quality care. The other issue that I want us to look at, Honorable Speaker, is the prevention measures for mental illness. So while I commend the intent and direction of this bill, I must respectfully point out a critical gap. The current bill lacks clear provisions aimed at the prevention of mental illness. It's not enough to focus on treatment after the fact. Prevention must be a cornerstone of our mental health strategy. Through education, through early intervention, community awareness campaigns, and the addressing of social determinants such as poverty, unemployment, and trauma. So without proactive prevention measures, we are merely treating symptoms and not the root causes. For instance, Honorable Speaker, in the aftermath of trauma, the state has an undeniable responsibility to protect not only the physical, but also the psychological well-being of its citizens. We have children, for example, Honorable Speaker, and even elders who have witnessed barbaric murders of their parents and immediate persons. People who survived tragic car accidents, people who survived robberies and even trafficking. But there is nothing that actually happens to them in terms of their psychological support. We should include a provision for a compulsory psychological support for citizens after traumatic events. We have the effective models in cases of rape, for instance, where victims of rape are subjected to compulsory medical screening to ensure early intervention and protection. This principle of immediate structured response can and should be extended to mental health as well. Just as we recognize the importance of prompt physical care after trauma, we must recognize that psychological wounds requires the same agency. This provision ensures that every citizen who experiences a traumatic event would receive compulsory mental support, guaranteeing timely psychological assistance, dignity, and protection. This can be achieved, Honorable Speaker, through a mandatory placement of a qualified mental health social worker in every constituency office nationwide. Imagine, Honorable Speaker, a person staying in a tanga in a Pupa constituency of Kunene region, a person who is deep in Vikota village of Kavango East, a person who is deep in Ompiondu in Oshikunde and is experiencing mental health problems and have experienced trauma of any kind. Where do they get the psychological support? In actual sense, we resort to either our churches or we resort to the traditional leaders in our communities who are not trained to support us in these situations. Therefore, establishing a mandatory qualified mental health social workers in every constituency office will address the right to comprehensive community mental health by bringing mental health services closer to the people, particularly in rural and underserved areas. These social workers will play a dual role, not only offering crisis support, offering referrals and case management, but should also engage in preventative work that is conducting community outreach, providing psychoeducation, and identifying at-risk individuals before the issues escalate. I therefore urge this Honourable House to support the inclusion of both a clear prevention framework and the establishment of constituency-based mental health social workers as a matter of priority and principle. The last one of my contribution, Honourable Speaker, is the mental health digital system. In strengthening our nation's response to mental health challenges, it is imperative that we modernize our legislative framework to reflect technological advancements. The inclusion of a digital mental health system within the mental health bill will enable more accessible, efficient, and equitable mental health care for all systems, or for all citizens. We need a mental health digital system that digitally store and manage patient information, that including the therapy notes, the diagnosis, the medication, the treatment plans, and progress tracking. This would assist that we do not lack any information when mental health patients travels or change locations. This also aligns us as Namibia with global best practices and promotes a holistic, people-centered mental health ecosystem. I therefore strongly motivate that this House support the incorporation of a comprehensive digital mental health system in this bill. Honourable Speaker, as I come to my conclusion, I want to repeat what I said at the beginning, that this bill represents a rescue effort to our nation's mental health, and it must be passed without delay. I therefore support the bill.
Thank you. Thank you. I give the floor to Honourable Bush.
Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I rise to speak in strong support of the
light now came to me. Stand up. No? Stand up and start. Switch off. Stand up.
Just stand up and stand up. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, I rise to speak in strong support of the mental health bill before this House. This bill marks a long overdue step toward aligning our laws with human dignity, international standards, and the lived realities of Namibians who experience mental health conditions. I welcome its clear emphasis on rights, community-based care, and safeguards such as review boards and the appeal routes. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the state of our mental health infrastructure is unattainable. We have facilities that are under-resourced, poorly maintained, and in many cases, dilapidated. Right now, a single mental health facility in the north is expected to service 5 regions, and the central hospital facility is effectively servicing 9 regions. Those distances, combined with inadequate beds, staff, and support services, mean that people travel long distances to seek care, or else do not seek care at all. The bill itself rightly requires comprehensive, decentralized, and community-based mental health services integrated into primary health care. I therefore urge that the spirit of Section 7, which speaks to the requirement for decentralized community-based services, be matched with urgent capital and recurrent funding so that those words become services on the ground. Secondly, there is a crisis of trust in our public mental health facilities and services. Too many families grapple with the fear of admitting a loved one into a mental health care facility, fearing that they might become worse off. That perception is corrosive, keeps people away from early treatment, deepens illness, and fuels stigma. This bill addresses dignity, consent, limits on restraint, and the right to information. In my opinion, these are essential protections that begin to restore trust. But legislation alone cannot cure reputational damage. We must pair legal safeguards with visible improvements in infrastructure, compassionate care, transparent discharge planning, and public education campaigns so that our people can see that state services are safe, effective, and respectful of human dignity. Sections 9 and 10 of the provisions in this bill speaks to the limiting seclusion and restraint set out and speaks to the standards that must be enforced in practice. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, decentralization is not optional, it is essential. This bill requires that health facilities ensure provision of primary, secondary, tertiary, and community-based mental health care and promotes community integration. This must become a national rollout plan. Staffed district teams, licensed community-based day centers and halfway houses, and mobile outreach units for remote areas. The licensing and standards for community-based facilities in the bill give us the framework to expand services beyond a few large institutions and bring care closer to home. But expansion requires budgetary allocations, human resource planning, and supported licensing pathways so that local NGOs, faith-based organizations, and private providers can safely scale up. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, most importantly, I believe that if we are to confront stigma, we must confront it head-on. Stigma has many faces. The shame families feel, the language that reduces a person to their diagnosis, the institutional practices that separates and hides patients. Words matter, and laws that enshrine respect and non-discrimination matter too. Section 11's prohibition of discrimination, the right to representation, and the bill's requirement of knowledge of rights are tools that we can use. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, in addition to this bill, I call upon the Minister and the officials in the Ministry to facilitate a national funded and sustained anti-stigma campaign that pairs public education with community champions, survivor-led messaging, and community programs in school, in workplaces, and in police stations. We should coin this campaign not merely as mental health awareness, but as a program for restoring citizenship and dignity for people living with mental health conditions. What will inform the success of this bill in reforming mental health in Namibia is our commitment to resourcing its provisions. The bill places many obligations on the state. Therefore, as we debate this bill, honorable members, we must be ready to support the financial commitments it requires to ensure that it meets its legislative intent. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, this bill is humane with a right-centered framework. It modernizes our law, protects patients, and opens the door to decentralized care and better justice outcomes. But laws alone do not heal. Let us pass this bill and then act with urgency, funding and administrative commitment required so that every Namibian can access mental health care close to home with dignity and without fear. I so submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, I believe I will use even less than that 10 minutes that remain. And I will start with the definitions on page 5. Honorable Speaker, it is my feeling that the term financial exploitation reflected on section 12 must be defined as it is not properly defined, and because it falls under prohibition
and abuse, and it will attract a fine or penalty or imprisonment or a punishment, I think it should not be left upon the judiciary for interpretation. It should be properly defined so that it can provide the extent to which a person can be held liable on that, because it could mean everything. It could mean a high price being charged on a patient who's actually suffering from mental health, and that, if it's not properly defined, it can cause a confusion. Yes. So I also feel that Section 11, on Section 11, subsection 3, and I think Honorable Nekundi have also highlighted on this one, the existing mental health condition, prohibition of discrimination. I think perhaps it must be again broadened up or expanded so that the existing mental health condition can be properly put, because otherwise a person with an existing mental health condition, you don't know to which extent one should not discriminate. You don't know whether it is to allocate, because it's in terms of employment, to allocate certain responsibilities. Obviously, logically, one may not allocate a responsibility to, or a certain responsibility to a person with an existing mental condition. For instance, if you are a medical doctor and you are to carry out an operation, probably one would also consider the implication of that person, using that person with that condition. So that's why I'm saying perhaps we should find a way to expand on that one. And then when it comes to Section 12, subsection 5, I also believe that it is too broad, that, and I read it, a person who provides mental health care to patients and who, during the course of providing such care, witnesses anything that gives rise to a reasonable suspicion against a patient, must immediately report such suspicion to the immediate supervisor of that person, but also to the head of the health facility, and also to the review board. I believe perhaps it should be, or to one of those, because if I have to report to both, starting with one, and then the next, and then the next, the bureaucracy will be too long, and perhaps it will discourage some of the people to finish that process. I think one process would be enough, or at least two, or one of them. And lastly, I think subsection, I think that would be all that I wanted to contribute on, but in all, I support the bill.
Thank you. I recognize Honorable Ita.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member. I rise to express my full support for the Mental Health Bill, a timely and necessary piece of legislation aimed at strengthening the legal and institutional framework governing mental health care and support services in our country. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, mental health is a fundamental component of all well-being and national development. However, the growing prevalence of mental health challenge in Namibia reflects not only medical conditions, but also deepened, rooted socio-economic pressure faced by our people. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, a significant number of young people continue to experience unemployment, even underemployment, and lack of sustainable livelihood opportunity. The sense of frustrations, hopelessness, and loss of purpose that arises from prolonged unemployment often manifests in depressions, substance abuse, and in some tragic cases, suicides. It is also therefore imperative that both governments and private sectors implement targeted intervention to promote job creation, skill development, and entrepreneurship, which must be recognized as a key preventive measure in addressing mental health challenges. In addition, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, we cannot overlook the mental distress experienced by veterans of our liberation struggle. Many continue to face socio-economic hardship, including delay or insufficient payout, limited access to counseling services, and feeling of neglect after years of patriotic services. These challenges, if left unaddressed, continue to erode their dignity and mental well-being. Yes, we might pass this bill, Honorable Member, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, but unless we address the preventive measure that target the underlying causes of mental distress, our effort will remain incomplete and our progress will remain limited. Honorable Speaker, to prevent mental health problems before arise, our approach must be proactive rather than reactive. The government and private sector must address poverty, and I repeat poverty because these are the cause of mental health problem, and I continue inequality and unemployment, and ensure the timely payout of veteran project fund, which remain among the structural causes of mental health challenge in our society. Further, strengthening interministerial coordination to ensure that mental health is integrated into all areas of socio-economic policy, and expand access to counseling and community mental health services, especially in rural areas where support remains limited. I therefore urge the Minister of Health and Social Services to ensure that this bill promotes closer collaboration among the Ministry of Health and Social Services, the Ministry of Justice and Labor, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Veteran Affairs, so that together we address the socio-economic factor and contribute to mental health challenges in our nation. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member, I fully support the mental bill and applaud the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Services for introducing these important legislations. I further call upon all stakeholders to ensure that the bill is implemented effectively with a sufficient budgetary allocation and strong political will, so that no Namibian is left behind in the fight for mental wellness, prevention, and dignity. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. It is now knock-off time. Yes, we have only 2 minutes to go. And on that basis, I would like to request that the Right Honorable Prime Minister move that the House agenda. Are there points of privileges, or why do he moves? I want to call upon the Right Honorable Prime Minister to move that the House adjourns until tomorrow at 14 hours.
Thank you very much, Comrade Speaker. I endorse what you said.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you very much to our colleagues. Apparently they were lost. The team from the Mental Health Organization, they are now here in the public gallery. Thank you very much for your attendance. Now the House rises.